What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see, when the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host BKP.
All right, folks, how are you today? I'm your host BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on voiceofruralamerica.com. How are you? I hope you had a good weekend. I had a great weekend. I really did. We're on Substack, Vora, V-O-R-A, and at BKP Politics. We're on Substack, and then we're on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and X, voiceofruralamerica.com. So, wow. Every day I come into the Resolute Dusk here, the studio, the BKP Politics headquarters, whatever you want to call it. And I have a game plan. I do. I really do. I have a game plan. I come in, I have a game plan. So I get up, I've got the deep state corporate corrupt media going on the TV at 5 a.m. in the morning, CNN, MS Now over here. Yes, you got to watch it to keep up with the enemy. I'm scrolling through X. I'm looking at what drops. I'm waiting to see what the AJC is going to run with, the narrative. Now, the reason I keep up with the AJC narrative on a daily basis is just that. The politicians, Republicans especially, down in Atlanta, they've had control since 2025. So they have played right in and allowed the AJC to run the political water that, filters through whatever, the Chattahoochee running past the Gold Dome. I don't know. But anyhow, so every day I have this plan. I come up here. I'm set. I'm going to be ready by 11. I'm on the internet. I'm going to be ready. Going to launch by 11. Have my video out by 1 in the afternoon. But I start looking around and things go a different direction. So here's what I mean by that. I want to know, seriously, I want to know who is doing this, all right? So, we've got our vote read, and I wasn't going to put any time into this. I really wasn't. But there's a couple bills. We're getting closer. We got 9 days left in the 2026 legislative session, right? October surprise. Now, I hear a lot of things under the Gold Dome, and I don't share them, and it's not because I would keep anything from you. I can always look this audience in the eye. I can always. And I can always stand on our broadcast. But there's things I don't share with you because I don't run with someone's water. And I will tell you this, on a daily basis, they try to get your host to bite. They do. I mean, they throw some shiny little lures. Is that lures? What is it called when you throw it over the boat? And they tried to reel old BKP in and throw me up into the boat. They tried to. They try to hook me and get me to run. But I don't. I wait. I'm patient. Right? Some out there just run with it. And we'll talk about that maybe on another day. They just run with it. But I wait. Now, so I've been hearing some rumblings that on the Senate side, where Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones resides, and Greg, oh my gosh, Greg, let's see, what do we have him as? Greg the Weasel, Boy Wonder, Bunny Ears Dolezal, right? So he has run with all these political stunts, and and then you got Blake Tillery in the Senate running for lieutenant governor, and then you've got Steve Gooch running for lieutenant governor, and but Dolezal's out front with his running mate, and it's just that it is his running mate. Burt Jones is his running mate, but this comes out this morning, and I'm going to go another direction, but the Georgia Senate wants to make sexual harassment settlements involving state lawmakers public just in time for 2026 midterms. So I've had phone calls. Now, wait a minute. I've had phone calls because I have been told, someone looked at me and said, people should be careful what they say. So maybe I should have a caution light that flashes. Caution, right? But anyhow, so I have heard the stories of sealed or payments made out of different funds or something, or people that were taken off someone's desk and given another job. You hear all kinds of things. I mean, bam, you hear this, and you hear, I can't do it with this. I can't do it, but I'll do it. Boom, boom. You hear all kinds of things, right? So I'm just saying. Now, I, for one, am totally against this bill because it wants to change how you get open records. All right, and we'll talk about that later. But I don't like this bill because it would stop myself from filing open records request and getting body cam footage or, arrest footage documents the same way we used to. But here's the interesting part. On crossover day, the Senate amended a bill about mugshots and police body cam footage to make these settlements public. Sexual harassment settlements involving state lawmakers to make them public. Okay? The Senate amended the bill to make the settlements public. It would apply, now here's what gets interesting, to a claim of sexual harassment, discriminatory harassment, discrimination, or retaliation. The bill also contains this crucial sentence. You ready? You ready for the crucial sentence? This bill would also contains the crucial sentence, this subsection, this subsection shall be applied retroactively. Now that word retroactively, is that a shot? What do they call that? A shot across the bow? Is that what is that? Right? Retroactively. So you're telling me we could go back? I mean, this right here probably has they're probably bumping off the walls down there. Just saying. Now, we have to move on because we have Burt Jones, Rick Jackson. Whew. The Senate passed the bill unanimously. The U.S. House, meanwhile, overwhelmingly voted to shelve a similar proposal. Let's be better than they, said State Senator Randy Robinson, who sponsored the bill. Let us be willing to have ourselves looked at. I'm sorry. Back in 2018, then State Senator David Schaefer's bid for lieutenant governor. That damn lieutenant governor. It's interesting they're tying, it seems a tie, right? Like, why would they bring up the lieutenant governor retroactive? Back in 2018, then, David Schaefer's bid for lieutenant governor was shadowed by such a complaint. A 58-page confidential investigatory report obtained by AJC raised doubts about claims from a veteran lobbyist that she was persistently sexually harassed by the Republican. Now, listen to this. Every state legislative seat is on the ballot this year, along with at least 10 current or former state lawmakers running for statewide office. Could this bill, if it becomes law, give some of them something to worry about? So we got a couple things there. Could this give some of them something to worry about, right? Just saying. Could this give some of them something to worry about, right? Interesting. Or, just saying, why lieutenant governor and why retroactive? So I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, speaking of that, remember this right here. We'll just briefly, because I want to know what's going on here. I do. I want to know what's going on here. And I'm going to look at right now. I have zero. I know no more than what I'm telling you here. I promise. I want to know what's going on. Because since this has all happened and this piece of legislation's come out, remember this right here. Remember, candidate, state candidate Greg Dolezal received a gift of bunny ears. Bunny ears, right? Bunny ears. So remember, a gift of bunny ears. AI generated. This is AI generated. What I thought maybe that bag, the bunny ears look like, because as you know, the website is out there, right? The website is out there. Let's go with that. Now there's an update. Remember, gregsbunnyears.com, right? Remember, there's an update now. So this bill comes out. It's been talked about. Let's go into the update. Ready? Let me take this down. Hang tight.
Greg, I know you're not a furry, but I appreciate your generosity. Sharing is caring. Greg, I know you're not a furry, but I appreciate your generosity. Sharing is caring. Greg, I know you're not a furry, but I appreciate your generosity. Sharing is caring.
So that is an update to that website. That's recent. Remember, we had the silhouette or whatever, in the background and the dark with the bunny ears? More to come. Now, this is new. Now, I will, let me remember, this was last week. There's something here. I don't know. Somebody, and I keep stressing that because by no means, I wouldn't even report this. And I'm not joking. I would not report this if it wasn't out and other people weren't running with it. I wouldn't even report it. But there's something here. And then when Randy Robinson, is that his name, puts that out, retroactive. So here is, remember this. We're going to play this briefly for you, right?
celebration like today. I was here to testify before what I can only describe to you as, and I hope they listening, a clown show. Yes. And as clown shows go, it was led by a clown. I understand the same clown that led my questioning was just gifted bunny ears. Some of y'all know the significance of that, some of y'all don't. But he was gifted these bunny ears by Representative Rua Romanian. She was responding to a hateful, racist video that he had recently posted. She told him she gave him the bunny ears because she understood he was into that type of thing. Word on the street is, allegedly, he got some strange furry habits. The Senate hearing was a great waste of taxpayers' money and time. The Senate hearing was not about getting answers for Georgians as they lied and told people, but rather it was a desperate attempt to get their own name in the paper. See, they got to keep my name in their mouth for people to even know who they are.
All right. So just saying, we're going to move on from that, but you know, this says there's more to come, right? More to come. Some say, this is exactly what it says. Some say Greg Dolezal is an attention hound. But he is very good at sitting in the corner and watching quietly. More to come. I look in the eye. I don't know who's putting this out. I know it's running and people are running with it. Greg'sBunnyEars.com. More to come. And you heard what she said. Word on the street. Allegedly, he's into, word on the street, allegedly, some strange furry habits. So, just going back here, that bill that was put out, and I get this out of the AJC, like I said, it does not refer to bunny ears, but there was an article last week that sexual harassment, and it would be retroactive, right? And if it becomes law, give some of them something to worry about. So a lot going on there, as you well know. Let me get this up here. And somebody has great interest wearing bunny ears, and Greg Dolezal with GregDolezal.com. Just wow. Okay. So trying to find my audio here. How's that? My audio. Seems like my audio went down there. There we go. So some have quite an interest in GregDolezalBunnyEars.com. So we're going to leave that alone for now and move on to our next interest of the day. I want to bring something up just briefly before I get into another hard-hitting Monday morning. The SAVE Act. Now, are you on board with the SAVE Act? Are you cheering for it? Because, you know, I'm watching all these people cheering for the SAVE Act, okay? And I have a question. Let me ask you this one question. It requires, let me get to this here. It requires, I'm going to put it up on the screen. I have it on your screen there. I want to get it on mine. It would require proof of citizenship to register to vote using birth certificate or passport. And what I want to say about this, overall online mail-in automatic voter registration. Election officials could face criminal penalties for good faith issues. Require state to submit full voter rolls to Department of Homeland Security. No restrictions on what the department can do with the data. So let me just say this on the SAVE Act. DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, which is not funded right now, and they want you to worry. They don't have it funded because they want you worrying about a terrorist act at any minute. So we have that. And because they always plant some kind of worry. And then on top of that, this information, remember when the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, was created and how it was created. All right. To take control of our data, the homeland. So just that being said, keep this in mind. We do not have in America, anytime they're cheering for something, and I mean cheering, please be concerned. I'm serious. Please be concerned anytime they're cheering for something. And let me just show you here. I want to put this up. Okay? The United States does not have, keep that in mind, an official mandatory national ID card for citizens. We do not have an official mandatory national ID card, all right? However, the Social Security number functions as a de facto national identification. Now, we know the Social Security data has been infiltrated and it's bad. We know that data is bad. Key details regarding U.S. identification, Social Security numbers, no centralized ID, real ID. Now, we came out with that real ID. While it's not a national ID, the Real ID Act requires state-issued driver's license to meet specific security standards for boarding domestic flights, all right? But keep in mind, as they're cheering, anytime our government really cheers for something, and then they put out a media blitz, and they put out a social media influencer blitz to push something over the finish line, and President Trump gets out and says, we want the SAVE Act. We can't have safe elections or real elections without the SAVE Act. I get it. I want safe elections, but the SAVE Act, a national ID, just keep that in mind, what they're pushing down the road. Now, they want to get rid of the filibuster, and folks, to get rid of the filibuster, they're not going to, and they're not going to pass other things. Just pay attention, if you don't mind me saying that. Now, we hope that all is well. Susie Wiles has been diagnosed with breast cancer, so we pray for her and hope all is well. Before we get into, as we talk about elections for 2026, before we get into that, let me get this right here. Now, Kevin Moncla is a great guy. He really is. And I like Kevin Moncla. He's done some great work. I think he has an association, not intentionally, but I think he has an association in some areas that are misleading, that he trusts that I don't feel people should trust. We'll leave it at that, okay? There's some people in the election integrity cycle that are grifters and also there for furthering their political gain that I don't think they should trust, but I get it. All right. But Kevin is a great guy. He really is. And he posted this because I want to show it to you. Georgia is planning to do it again. All right. The Georgia two-step. The Georgia legislature is expecting to amend existing law SB 189, which requires a QR code to be removed from the ballot by July 2026 and extend the deadline to 2027. Okay? The classic bait and switch. All right. So, considering that's out there, I want to show you a couple things. Remember this right here. In February, with crossover day, SB 568, I told you it wasn't happening. I've said over and over some things are not going to happen, but people need to see for themselves, right? So in February, right, around February 26th, I showed you this right here. Democrats put up, and it's 6 Democrats put up HB 1423. Now, Republicans are down there, I've told you, and they're negotiating with Democrats on other bills. But this is a Democrat bill, right? And right here it is. It's one page. It's only one page. House Bill 1423, all right? Bill to be entitled an act to amend the act relating to elections and primary approved May 6, 2024, right? And all they want to do is change it effective July 1st, 2027. One page. That's it. That's it right here. Now, here's the section that's most important in the one page. An act relating to elections and primaries approved May 6, 2024 is amended by revising this section, and the act becomes effective July. I told you this in February. Now, what some people are going to say, they're going to say, well, Democrats, they're not going to let Democrats do this. They're not going to let Democrats pass this bill. What they do right now, crossover's done, what they do right now is they're negotiating, and what they'll do is they'll take this bill so they don't have to have you out there saying that Democrats passed this bill or they surrendered to Democrats, however you want to put it, capitulated, whatever. And they'll take the bill and shove it in another bill. It's happening right now. What's going on down there under the Gold Dome right now is they're shoving this bill into this bill, cutting this one part out, taping it to this one. Not literally, figuratively, they're taping bills together and cutting them and pasting and everything. And this will get shoved over into a bill and will be a prize for Democrats. So they will vote for a bill they need or something. So this is being negotiated now. I told you this, and the section reads right here is what they want to amend. Effective date of Section 7 is July 1st, 2026, and they want to move that to July 1st, 2027. So while we're on that, let me just say, folks, you don't invite these people right here. ES&S, is it ES&S? Electronic voting system. Now, this is a mobile van that has all their equipment set up to show lawmakers in states how their equipment works, right? And here it is right there. You don't do that. If you're thinking about, you don't even invite them. If you're thinking about paper ballots, why would they show up? That's a slap in the face, period. End of story. So what I always talk about as we're moving along here, look at this picture and always remember a deal was made. A deal was made. All right? Just remember that. Now, let's get into Georgia elections and the governor's race for just a minute. A deal was made. Now, I want to tell you something. Billionaires, now I'm not going to say, most millionaires, but billionaires don't live like you and I. Unless you're a billionaire or you're in that circle. They don't live like us. They don't. They do not live like us. Billionaires, that live in $50 million estates, they don't live like us. Billionaires don't understand us. They don't catch on to you and I. And I say that because ever since Rick Jackson got into the race, he is a billionaire, I have been studying on a daily basis. Why is this guy in the race? I've gone to an event. I was supposed to go to one Saturday. I got sidetracked and had to go do something else Saturday morning. But I had some people in the room that gave me a full report on what took place down there at Cobb Adventure Outdoors or whatever it is. But that being said, I've been studying this guy. Why is he running for governor? Now, I have come to this one conclusion. He does not like Burt Jones. Now, is this billionaire running to save Georgia? I mean, is it for his grandkids and his great-grandkids, for his wife, his children, or his son? I know there's one. Is there more than one kid? I mean, I have been trying to lay out, why is this guy, is he trying to save Georgia? Now, that being said, this is getting pretty nasty. And, hey, you know what? I've got no problem with playing hardball. But this is getting pretty nasty. So, number 17 here, the judge approved. The judge lets Burt Jones' committee continue to spend on his campaign for now. A federal judge on Friday temporarily restored Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones access to the political committee, unlocking the cash. So, The political committee for the leadership fund on the lieutenant governor side of the aisle, the cash is unlocked. Burt Jones can start spending that again. So look for him to crank some things up. I will say last week, obviously, I'm pretty sure in the last couple of weeks, the Jones campaign has been waiting on this decision by a judge to make a determination how they want to spend their campaign cash. Now, they want to lead you to believe that he cannot beat Keisha Lance Bottoms. And what you're going to start seeing in this campaign pretty soon is who can win the general. Who can win the general? It's going to become, I think, as Republicans, we're going to talk about the Republican side of this. Democrats have the same question they have to ask on their candidates, but on the Republican side of this, it's going to come down that they're going to have to ask the question, who can beat the Democrat in November? We'll get into that. So before we get too far into some of the Rick Jackson concerns or questions I have, this website came out this morning. This is a new website, and this is called Burt Jones Bribe Machine. This is a website that's live. And when you go to the Burt Jones Bribe Machine, welcome to Burt Jones Machine, ready to bribe the lieutenant governor? Question mark. Step right up, give him your money, and you could spin. And when you hit the spin, it will spin around and it will pick something. For this one particularly, it says Burt received over $7 million in contributions from lobbyists, corporate entities, and special interests since 2022, right? That's one of them. And then you can also, on the website, you can heard of another Burt Jones or Burt Bribe. Submit your tip. You can submit a tip. So I'm going to pull the website over. I have it up here live. I'm going to pull it over and see if I can make it work so you can see it. Hang on.
Step right up and take a spin. Bert's Bribe Machine where the cash goes in. Lobbyists give happily. Jackpot hits for Bert's whole family.
So you can see there, right? I'm just saying. Just saying, right? Wow. So, paid for by Rick Jackson for governor. Paid for by Rick Jackson for governor. You can hit the spin, right? You can hit the spin button. And you can, when you hit the spin button, you can also go on and you can go on there and put a tip in and submit it. This thing is getting pretty, now, this is getting pretty, I don't know, I really don't know what to say. In some areas, I don't know what to say. But let's go back to, they're going to tell you he cannot win the general election. Now, this morning in the AJC, many of you have seen the now Rick Jackson has spent money and bought. Here's my concern, and I want to ask this question: are you okay with this? Now, I'm not okay with a lot of the things the lieutenant governor has done. I'm not. I'm not in the tank for any candidate at this time. I've not even made a decision how I'm going to vote for governor of Georgia. I've not made that decision. And I have to tell you, I clearly don't know because I'm going to ask questions all the way around. Now, but Rick Jackson has hired about every political person moving out there in the consultant world. And you got to keep this in mind. Politics, all right? Politics is an industry now. I mean, it's someone's job. They produce nothing. It's their job. There's people that do nothing but analyze voter data, where it's at, age groups, who's voting and when. I mean, this is a political careers. It's their job. And Rick Jackson has hired some pretty nasty people, some really nasty people in the political circle. And that's politics, okay? Don't get into politics if you can't stand the sight of your own blood. Now, I have asked, and I'm not going to say anything, I'm going to give them to Wednesday till Wednesday, I have asked if they've hired a certain individual and they've gone dark on me. And I've asked for a one-on-one sit-down and a possible face-to-face interview with Rick Jackson for real questions. Now, this may be the greatest guy in the world. He has a really great story. I mean, the projects, his mom's a mean alcoholic drunk. There's no dad in the picture. Foster homes. It's just terrible what this guy went through. But he's 71, folks. He's not 8. He's not 10. He's not 12. He's not 17. He's not 18. Now, I can respect that he went through hard work, all right? And he had his ups and downs, and he failed several times. I mean, Sears, Walt Disney, some of the greatest people and the wealthiest people in the world failed multiple times. Those are great stories. And the people that are the most successful in many ways are the ones that get getting up and going at it again. Not the people that figured out how to be crooks and steal money and become billionaires. That's not what I'm implying with Rick Jackson, but I'm going to tell you something. You don't cross the billionaire line without political ties, maneuvers, friends, favors. Now, what I mean by that is, I know this. Like someone will say, are you telling me this organization, it's a $1 billion organization, they became this big, wealthy organization because of dirty tricks? Folks, zoning, friends, right? Water and sewer going down a road that benefits a parcel. There's every single option out there. And when you're in the trenches and you become a millionaire and you're making money, and then you become a multi-millionaire, 10 million. And then you realize you would like to get some contracts yourself. So you start getting friendly with who? Whom? Whom would it be? Who would it be? Whatever. Who do you start getting? You start getting friendly with a politician. You open your checkbook up. You have politicians over for dinner. Whatever. Don't give me no BS. All right? This is how it works. Bottom line. And you don't become, when you become a billionaire, there's areas that certain friendships were very beneficial, and contracts. And where did all your money come in? Now, I'm not against, I'm a capitalist, okay? I'm believing free market, make your money. But I'm going to tell you right now, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, all right, Sam Altman, these people are not Republicans. Let me tell you something. When you look at these billionaires and how much money was made in COVID, I'm tired of hearing about Minnesota, because I can show you, I think it's in 2011? Was it 2011? We finally got earmarks out. Conservatives, real conservatives, we fought earmarks in budgets. Republicans. But how did they get back in? How did earmarks get back in? Republicans. Why? So they can take money home to their billionaire? Just saying, friends, just saying. Come on. Stop with your head in the damn sand. Get it out. Tell yourself the truth. I mean, the facts are the facts all day long. Now, I don't know this guy. I shook hands once or twice. Twice I shook hands with this man. One at Appalachia Gun and Pawn and one at his corporate office at the kickoff. And I'm just telling you right now, all I'm saying is, look at the money through COVID that went through this operation. Wasn't where I was going, but right, because I'm telling you, you got to stop and look. Now, this guy has some dirty, dirty tricksters working for him. And, you know, he goes out and he has these events. And I'm going to tell you right now, first of all, let me get through this story. So many of you are seeing the ad where Burt Jones says he's a good guy. And, like, Burt Jones didn't have a reason to call the guy a lowlife. I mean, he didn't. Lieutenant Governor Jones has spent weeks saying lots of bad things about Rick Jackson, his Republican rival for governor. That's what made Jackson's latest TV spot so potent, all right? The ad features a narrator accusing Jones of lying about Jackson before cutting to a short clip of Jones from December praising him as a good friend and applauding his work on foster care. So if you look at this right here and you go deep, I'll go further into it tomorrow. Jackson pulled Burt Jones in by asking for something. It began with a September message from Jackson Aid asking Jones to help promote a foster care tax credit championed by Jackson, timed for the end of the year charitable donation. It came around the same time mysterious group began pummeling Jones with attack ads. So eventually the Jackson team, not campaign team, sent Jones a message and said they would like for him to read this about Rick Jackson. All right? Jones said he was proud to support the foster care initiative and efforts to help our most vulnerable, but he said the ad reveals how Jackson is willing to go, how far he'll go for political gain. Rick Jackson just showed us he's willing to do anything to get a vote, even using vulnerable foster children as a political prop to garner support. So this is, I think we're not going to actually get into issues that pertain to you and I in this campaign. So I don't disagree with a lot of the things that are coming out where Burt Jones is concerned. I'm not. But what really happened, and I really do want to know what really happened, that Rick Jackson came out of down his glass elevator and decided just to rip Burt Jones a new a-hole. I mean, seriously. Why? Now, you got to look at all the money. And I keep hearing Jeff Duncan's name. I keep hearing that. Jeff Duncan, who lives in Forsyth County. Jeff Duncan, who was, and I don't know if Jackson has made any comments. Maybe he has, but Jeff Duncan, who was Rick Jackson's close friend, who Jeff Duncan. There's you ever hear that debt of gratitude? Right? A debt of gratitude. You ever hear that? So, Rick Jackson's friend, Jeff Duncan, just saying, flips to Democrat, just saying. Before I get into that story, I want to stay right here with this. We'll come back to that in just a minute. There's a Politico story. Now, these are not attacks. I'm just asking questions. You and I are going to ask all these questions, whether they like it or not. So right here, this is a picture of adventure outdoor Rick Jackson event, and I'm going to tell you this right now. I did not go to this one, but I have people that sent me pictures, and I've talked to some people there. Let me get to right here. I'm going to show you something else. Here's another event. I forget exactly where this was at, another part of the state. And then I went to Appalachian Gun and Pawn. So right now, what I see that is really, and it's a large voting block in the primary. And the reason I bring this up is it's a large voting block in the primary. And what I'm seeing is, some would maybe call me this, so that Jackson, the turnout primarily is senior white people. I see white people. I see white people. I'm just saying. Senior white people. Now, I don't have, to me, and I will go look, I promise, really deep policy where Jackson's concerned. All right? So, now he has a team out there that's smart enough to realize that he has to stop Burt from getting in the general election. Now, I understand. Look, I have no problem with this. Don't take this wrong. But I understand Rick Jackson's 71 years old. So, is he working towards stopping Burt? Is he really running for governor in the general election? What would we see as far as what switch would change over to appeal to? Because unless George Hamilton, that's Jeff Duncan, by the way, unless Jeff Duncan is the Democrat candidate, right? Rick Jackson would be going up against a black candidate. Is his name Thurman? What's his name? I forget. And Estevez and Keisha Lance Bottom. Odds are that unless George Hamilton, and I just think it's a coincidence that Jeff Duncan from Jackson's backyard, Jeff Duncan who switched to Democrat, Jeff Duncan who went with Republican 2.0, all right? Right in his neighborhood. Jeff Duncan, who has been in Rick Jackson's office multiple times, prove me wrong. Rick Jackson, who has been on the guest list, you can probably go to the guardhouse and been to the Rick Jackson corporate Jackson Healthcare corporate headquarters. Geoff Duncan, who has probably, I don't know this for a fact, been to Rick Jackson's home. I don't know. Now, I'm not saying that Rick Jackson and Geoff Duncan, I'm not. You're not hearing me say that. I'm just saying, but what if the campaign came down to Rick Jackson knocks Brad out, knocks Chris Carr out of the lane, Clark Dean, everybody, cleans the slate, becomes the Republican nominee at 71 years old, and is standing next to George Hamilton, the guy that's had, way too many spray-on tans, that pitched minor league baseball because he's not a big leaguer, he's only a minor leaguer, and he's standing there next to Rick Jackson, and he's running for governor. What if? I'm just telling you, I don't care who gets mad at me. I do not care. I don't care how angry. I don't care if it's a billionaire. I don't care if it's a multimillionaire. I don't care if it's Burt Jones, Rick Jackson, or damn it, I don't care. I'm going to ask all these questions, and I'm going to. I'm not going to sit idly by and not ask these questions. I mean, the guy came onto the scene. I don't dislike him. But I'm not going to just sit back and say, well, here's a free passage, right? Here you go, free passage. Not going to happen. So that being said, now, the reason I say that, there's a Politico article, and Mike, I know you're going to say, well, wait a minute. What are you doing with a Politico article? What's that got to do with Georgia politics? So let me get into that very briefly here. So here you go. This is a Politico article. We're going to have a problem. Republicans want Trump to move on from 2020. All right? Now, I showed you some things here. Facing difficult midterm landscape, there's a growing view in the GOP that revisiting election grievances risk distracting from the issues that matter most. So, if you go to the whiteboard, since Jackson came into the race, and you go to the whiteboard and you put over here, Jackson in the race, says he supports Trump. He says something, I don't know what the quote is. I will be Trump's favorite governor, all the above. He goes to Mar-a-Lago. He went to Mar-a-Lago Friday before last or whatever. He went to Mar-a-Lago with a bunch of billionaires in Mar-a-Lago. He was there. And you start putting that down the list, but Jackson does not talk about elections. He doesn't talk about elections. Nothing about it. 2020, very brief, his comments on what took place in 2020. If he would become the governor, he would preside over the next, yes, he would be the governor. The next governor of Georgia will be the governor that implements our next voting system. Period. So no matter what you think about 2020, what you think about 2022, what you think about SB 189, QR codes, paper ballots, whatever, the next governor will implement our next voting system. And no matter what you say, there's been so much uproar concerning electronic voting devices and the future of voting in Georgia that someone has to take a stand. I mean, you even have Democrats agreeing on paper ballots right now. So Jackson says nothing. Facing 2020, they all want people to shut up about it. So I thought, well, wait a minute. How could they write an article about 2020 without Georgia? So I read the article. You know me, I read everything. So I go in there and I'm reading this article, and here you go. President Donald Trump is bringing back 2020. Many Republicans wish he wouldn't. Now, I will tell you this. Republicans right now are counting the days. They no longer have to be concerned with Donald J. Trump past the midterms. And I have to tell you right now, with gas prices, we can get into that at a different time. Over there in Iran, I mean, Trump knew the minute he dropped a bomb on Iran, the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, he knows all this. So what exactly they're up to, I can't tell you, but that's a subject for another show at a different time. But here's the Politico. Conversations with nearly a dozen, listen to this, conversations with nearly a dozen GOP state and county chairs and strategists reveal a party largely eager to move on from relitigating Trump's election grievances, which they're worried may distract from the economic message that actually motivates voters. But the president won't let it go, subpoenaing 2020 election records and putting pressure on lawmakers to pass legislation to overhaul voter registration laws. All right, now, so I figured somebody in Georgia, they have to find somebody. Who did they find? None other than Buzz Brockway. They found Buzz. He was doing nothing one afternoon. Buzz Brockway, a GOP strategist and former state representative in Georgia, called election issues a huge distraction, adding nobody outside of a small, dedicated group are talking about this. They're talking about the economy. They're talking about now the price of oil. So only a small group out there. Now you got to get on that ballot for November. And that is a tight wire because Georgia has about three political lanes. In Georgia, long an epicenter of Trump's repeated efforts to litigate the 2020 election. Some Republicans say voters are now largely immune to the issue that's been rehashed endlessly for the past 5 years. You see, some are immune, meaning you keep saying over and over and over. Someone asked me this question, and I'm afraid I'm going to get in trouble here. So do you vote? And is there anything as important as voting? Why is there no fight for X, Y, and Z? I mean, why, if you are in the election integrity lane, and I'm in that lane, I mean, I have a lot of friends that worked very hard in that lane, but why is that right there? Why is there, I mean, without, I have to tell you, if you were to become satisfied with the outcome of your elections, you still haven't changed the fact that you could purchase an election with money. Until we have a major change and an overhaul in elections where you can't buy one, and campaign finance changes where what the founding fathers considered the people back home could run for an election. You know, I mean, I don't understand why we only have one lane that we fight in. But that being said, if you say something over and over, so are you voting? Now listen to this, because you got to think about this. Don't go off the rails on me. Are you voting, or are you an exercise to validate their pick? Stay with me. We'll come back tomorrow on that. Are you voting, or are you going to validate, go through the exercise of voting to validate their pick? Just wondering. Okay, so some state level GOP officials, listen to this, are hoping Congress will pass the SAVE Act, despite the reluctance of many Republican lawmakers. Now, the SAVE Act, I brought it up earlier today, a national ID. Are you asking for a national ID? While Trump's stolen election claims may still be a driving force for some primary voters, the general electorate is focused elsewhere, and if Republicans make those grievances central to their midterm message, they risk falling into a similar trap Democrats confronted during the 2024 presidential election. So there's one more spot here I want to get to. And one more spot I want to get to, because I want you to hear this, and then I want to ask you, who do you think said this? Because obviously it has one of those words I struggle to pronounce, but we'll get into it anyway. Here it is. Quote, "You've got to at least touch the base." Ready? "You've got to at least touch the base," said one Georgia-based GOP strategist, granted anonymity to speak candidly. But once you've got the nomination, then I think you really collapsed down into economic issues. Who said that? Who said you've got to touch the base to get on the ballot? You got to touch that base. Wonder which political strategist in Georgia said that in fear of coming out. That dynamic can create a political conundrum for Republican candidates. It's a real conundrum they're under out there. A savvy Democrat will put a candidate on the spot and say, "You agree with Trump, don't you?" and make a mess. Brockway said Republicans haven't got to figure out the way to deflect that question somehow in a plausible way that doesn't alienate a loud minority. So they're saying that you can't bring something up and move in this direction without upsetting this group over here. Now, so by the way, when we talk about that, Saturday, that's Sally Grubhub, okay? She delivers. Oh, yeah, she delivers. That's Sally Grubhub. She's the first vice chair of the Georgia Republican Party. She won that seat through the corrupt, Georgia State Convention election. Now, it was the whole thing about that convention, but she won according to that convention. She gets by with a little help from her friends. I'm just saying from the convention, some of the GRA members up front. But that being said, and she was a GRA member at the time, but there's Sally at the Rick Jackson in Cobb County. She was at the Rick. Now, she'll tell you she was there because it's Cobb County and she's former Cobb County GOP chair. But I think she was there more maybe to report, right? There she is. Now, Burt Jones appointed her to the state election board. So I'm going to wrap this up for just a minute, and I'm going to ask you something because we have to look. I want you to look. Get out of the comfort zone. Don't go for the 30-second commercial. Rick Jackson had his day with me as far as, you know what, he's got a great story. I can't say he's a bad guy. I can't look at the camera and say he's a bad guy, but there's still things I can't put my finger on. Now, this came out the other day, and there's another article out there I read, and I didn't want to bring it out today. GOP billionaire, right? GOP billionaire trying to woo Trump support in key Georgia race bankrolled his 2024 presidential rivals. Rick Jackson donated to Liz Cheney's leadership PAC weeks after she joined Dems in voting to impeach Trump. Now, he did invest a lot of money in Jeb Bush during that campaign season. He did invest a lot of money in Nikki Haley. He invested a lot of money in Vivek Ramaswamy, excuse me, a Silicon Valley guy, right? He invested a lot of money there. He did give money to Liz Cheney. And the only Trump investment we find, and this still has me thinking, I can't just let this go. Be very clear. This guy, not in the Burt Jones tank. Not in it. But, you know, if you jump into a pot of water that's 300 degrees, you don't say, hey, jump in this pot of water. It's only 250 degrees. So I'm not jumping. That made no damn sense whatsoever. But I'm going to be cautious of what tank I'm swimming in. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. I really don't. I don't know what happens. But if the chlorine's not going to burn my eyes. Maybe I should get out of the whole swimming and tank and fishbowl kind of thing. But anyhow, that being said, folks, we can't find his connection to Trump until December of 2025. Right? And we do see an enormous amount of money. Yes, Burt Jones. Yes, I get it. I would love to break the political machine completely down in Georgia. But until, with Burt Jones, and Burt made too many deals with guys like this, Josh McCoon. And I always say this, I use this like, there's too much of this goes on right here. That's too much of that goes on right there. So a billionaire, a multimillionaire, another multimillionaire. Just saying. Let's see what else I have. So I think I want to come out on Monday here with let's come right out of Monday just getting in trouble. Let's just do it, right? I got other stuff here. All right. So in Georgia governor's race, Democrats' battle for second spot is in likely runoff. Okay. And how much trouble is this going to get me in? I mean, I think Duncan fits in the picture, don't you? mean, he's got an Estevez shade about him, does he not? I mean, is that wrong? Is that wrong? I mean, am I the bad guy here? Just saying. I mean, I'm looking at it. I mean, Duncan. Duncan and Keisha Lance Bottoms. I mean, I'm trying to get out of this without too much trouble, but I don't see my way out. Jeff Duncan, look, George Hamilton here, he's a minor league baseball player from Alpharetta. All right, he never could make it in the big leagues. The guy is over-tanned, all right, way over-tanned. I don't know if it's spray on or what he's doing, if he's in the tanning bed, but you tell me. I mean, get away, BKP. You're getting too close to the sun. You're flying too close. So Keisha Lance Bottoms, they say that she's going to be the front runner. She is the front runner, and she will be the nominee, is what they're saying. But this will be a runoff. And Jason Estevez, the guy in the middle, that is the sharpest guy on the list, Jason Estevez. Keisha Lance Bottoms, they'll be able to run commercial after commercial of her burning down Atlanta and allowing it to burn. But Jeff Duncan, if Jeff Duncan in a runoff somehow would pull this out, just saying. Can Burt Jones win the general? Who can win the general election? Who stands the best chance up against this? And I'm going to tell you something. Rick Jackson is 71 years old. And he's a white male. I know. Yell at me. Yell at me. Go ahead. Do it. Do it. Do it. I'm just saying. Because one group can get you on the ballot in the general election. But it takes more than one group. We cannot go as Republicans into the general election without realizing and remembering that Brian Kemp in 2018 won to an overweight, gap-toothed, black lesbian woman. Stacey Abrams. Email me, tell me where I'm wrong. If she wants to be, I'm just saying. I know what's happening. You're sitting there saying, I can't believe what I just heard. So if you can't believe what you just heard, let me try that again so you can believe it this time. Stacey Abrams is overweight, gap-toothed, Michael Strahan's little sister, black lesbian woman. Well, you have to be a woman to be a lesbian, so that's kindly not on the list. And Brian Kemp only won by 50,000 votes. Just saying. All right, so what do I have left? I don't want to hear any more about this. This is the bottom line, okay? I don't want to hear about the GRA nominating candidates for endorsement convention, all right? I don't want to hear any more about it. Nathaniel Darnell is still the president of the GRA. He's still the president of the GRA. I have enough tape telling you out there as members of the GRA that, you know what, this is not personal attacking you. Alex Johnson needs to go, and Nathaniel Darnell needs to go. And you need to get rid of the leadership or lack of leadership that you have in the GRA. You need to get rid of it. And I have to tell you, please, if you're sitting out there and you're going to sit in an audience with Nathaniel Darnell overseeing, and the best you have is Brad Raffensperger is going after the GRA. Well, we'll leave it there, okay? So, no, I'm not interested in your nominating. In fact, I have to tell you right now, if I'm a candidate out there, I do not know why I would get in a picture with Nathaniel Darnell. The GRA endorsed, right? Why would you get in a picture with Nathaniel Darnell holding up the GRA endorsed sign? And I don't call out names, but Northwest Georgia, Gainesville, South Georgia, you know who you are out there. You're good people. You're really good people. I mean, just put a stop to this, please. All right? And please don't send me another message telling me, well, you have to be inside and infiltrate the organization to make changes. If enough of you people will stand up and ask publicly for his resignation and Alex's resignation, period. And this is not the conscience of the Republican Party. We'll talk about it on a different day. So what I'm really interested in, right here, Bubba, this is what I'm interested in. March Madness. Yes, March Madness. I like my college basketball, all right? Get ready to watch some hoops, baby. Watch some hoops. March Madness. Here's the 4. Okay, Duke, right? Duke, Florida, Michigan, Arizona. That's the top seeds. Put your bracket together. See how you make out there. This is. I think it starts Wednesday. Thursday is where most of the games going right into the weekend. I hope the weather will permit that I can sit outside with a cheap cigar and get my March Madness on. I used to, before they changed things with streaming, I used to get 3 computers. I did. I would have 3 computers sitting. I'd have a computer here, and a TV here, and I'd have 3 games going. Oh, back in the day, I knew how to get 3-4 games going way before picture-in-picture and all that kind of internet stuff. I could get 3 games going at one time and keep switching over. If all else fails, just call the Supreme Leader gay. The new Ayatollah's gay. I hear he's gay. I'm not okay with the war. I don't want to talk about it right now. I get emotional. I don't want to get emotional concerning the war. I will say this. Please, the Pied Piper, please do not follow these people into the water. So there's 3 things happening. 1, if you don't know me, March Madness, I will be into basketball. 2, April 1st is Passover, all right? April 1st to the 9th is Passover. And if you're new, every single year at Passover, what do? I watch the 10 Commandments. I always do. Charlton Heston, Yul Brynner, 10 Commandments. Yes. So that I will be doing this month. I have that on the calendar. And then it's Holy Week. Easter is April 5th. Holy Week starts the 29th. We'll be discussing that. We'll be doing segments on that. So in Passover, April 1st, I will be watching the 10 Commandments. I always do. You know me out there. So a couple things I want to run by you. I write down, okay? I wrote this down. Rick Jackson has enough money to ruin your day. Burt Jones, right? Billionaires like Trump for a whole different reason. Billionaires like Trump for a whole different reason. Billionaires do not like Trump for the same reason you and I do. Okay? You are data. We're working on that. Okay? What happened to Doge? Federal ID is the SAVE Act. See what else I have here. I want to talk about this week. Immigration without assimilation. Immigration without assimilation. And the reason I want to talk about it this week, I grew up next to a first-generation immigrant. I grew up right next door, property right next door. Our family garden was here. Their family garden was here. My dad and Angelo, first generation, off the ship from Sicily, here. I grew up with the kids. I know the difference in immigration without assimilation and immigration with assimilation. I know it firsthand. In immigration without assimilation, a country will die. And I have to say, there's several places where, like, are we there? Like, are we there? And let's see so I wanted to say something like, remember what did you do? Was it Sunday night? Do you remember when, I thought it was Sunday night. I'll tell you. Do you remember when The Wonderful World of Disney came on? Do you remember that? Was that a family thing for you? The Wonderful World of Disney. You remember that? And here's the other one, right? And if you're out there and you didn't get this, I mean, I really do. I hate it for people that didn't get this opportunity, right? So, I don't know what your dad watched on TV. I mean, my dad is the reason I watched Mannix. Yeah, I watched Mannix as a kid. My dad is the reason. My dad is the reason I know way too much about Nixon. My dad is the reason. Woo. Okay, but my dad is the reason why we turned on Wonderful World of Disney. And then what else? You remember Mutual of Omaha? You remember Wild Kingdom? How many of you out there remember Wild Kingdom? Mutual of Omaha. All right. Great way to start the week. I'll see you tomorrow at some point. Our Substack. Let me get this up here for you, okay? Our Substack. Don't forget. It is Vora at bkppolitics.com, and also our website, voiceofrural-america.com, and then Rumble and YouTube and X and Facebook, voiceofrural-america.com. I've been asking the question, is there a difference in MAGA and Make America Great Again? Until we meet again. Just another little nugget of truth with BKP.
What happens in Georgia gets revealed one by one as the facts are unsealed. From the pit comes what they don't want you to see. When the daily nugget of truth is dropped with your host BKP.